A payments company finds a serious access control flaw in production on a Tuesday. Someone could, in principle, move money that is not theirs. The team does what engineering teams do. They take the endpoint offline, roll back the database, and ship a fix by Thursday. Nobody outside the company ever knows it happened. Now put that exact same logic flaw inside a smart contract currently holding $40 million. The physical reality of this environment is fixed. The code cannot be taken offline. It cannot be rolled back. There is no database administrator who can freeze the state to buy you time. Because the source is public, the flaw is visible to anyone who reads it. Right now, automated scanners are hunting new deployments for this exact vulnerability. If one of them gets there before the original engineers notice, the funds leave in a single transaction. In this space, the environment itself nullifies traditional incident response, regardless of the bug's complexity. This chalkboard chart charts aggregate losses to on-chain exploits. The cumulative total exceeds $16.65 billion, including a sharp spike to $3.4 billion in 2025 alone. These figures track specific, exploitable architectural flaws executed at scale. Traditional software engineers entering this space have to unlearn their standard application security reflexes. The underlying rules of physics have changed. To understand how to defend these systems, we have to strip away the standard defenses and look at the 4 constraints of a smart contract. Removing legal deterrence and the ability to reverse transactions changes the basic assumptions of software defense. Consider a smart contract. It operates as an isolated component holding a large numeric balance. The first constraint is public code. Because contract bytecode is on-chain, an attacker can read the exact verified source code your auditor read with unlimited time. Every defense that quietly relies on nobody looking at your internal logic is gone. The second constraint is permanent state, or immutability. A confirmed transaction is final. There is no database restore command and no update query to put stolen balances back. Recovery, when it happens at all, means negotiating a hard fork, hoping an insurance fund pays out, or asking the attacker for a voluntary return. These are social processes, not technical mechanisms. Any security architecture that relies on hiding flaws or reversing bad transactions simply cannot survive on a blockchain. In a conventional breach, a stolen database of customer records still has to be fenced and sold to someone to realize its value. The third constraint is immediate liquidity. Stolen on-chain assets are in their final form. They can be swapped and mixed across networks instantly. The fourth constraint is the anonymous attacker. There is no jurisdiction to sue in and no physical identity to pursue. Without an identity, the threat of legal consequence effectively disappears. Attribution occasionally happens months later through operational mistakes, but it will not stop the theft. A system offering instant, untraceable payouts without legal repercussion naturally attracts the most sophisticated and well-capitalized adversaries on Earth. If you have world-class monitoring and alerting tools, why can't you stop an attack in progress? A traditional response loop spans hours or days. On Ethereum mainnet, a transaction finalizes within a single 12-second block. When an exploit initiates, your alert fires. But before a human can read it, the transaction settles and the money is gone. This leads to a hard truth. Detection is not a control. Monitoring is still valuable. It tells you what happened and allows you to pause secondary contracts, but it will never save the funds that triggered the alert. Because you cannot respond during an attack, every meaningful defensive effort must happen before the transaction is ever broadcast. Many engineering teams still view their contract as a standalone program. That is a dangerous misconception. The fifth constraint is composability. Any external contract can call your contract in any state and in any sequence, often within the exact same transaction. An exploit is rarely a typo. It is usually a well-capitalized stranger combining your perfectly written logic with their own code in an order you simply never tested. You are not shipping a closed application. You are deploying a fragile component into a constantly shifting, actively hostile ecosystem. After a major exploit, the most common defense you will hear from a team is that they were audited by top firms. An audit is a strictly time-boxed review of a specific, static code commit performed by a specific group of humans against a specific scope. But the reality of deployment is dynamic. Governance roles change, parameters shift, and new hostile protocols launch every day around your code. A loss does not necessarily mean the engineers or the auditors were incompetent. Often, the economic assumptions were perfectly sound, right up until someone had the capital required to break them. Treating an audit report as a guarantee, rather than a point-in-time assessment, is the most expensive mistake a protocol can make. This diagram shows a standard development lifecycle. In Web3, the security budget and engineering time must shift aggressively left, front-loading the design and code phases. Time spent on strict system specification and defining mathematical invariants earns its value back exponentially compared to post-deploy monitoring. But perfection is impossible, so defenders have to design for inevitable failure. You limit the blast radius through architectural constraints.
That means enforcing hard caps on withdrawals, instituting time locks on upgrades, and segregating authority keys so no single compromise drains the system. Operating in this environment requires a specific mindset. You must assume your protocol has an undiscovered flaw live on mainnet right now. The goal is not to build an unbreakable wall. The goal is to ensure that when a breach inevitably happens, the attacker's math simply does not pay out.